Let's stand.
Welcome to another New Space Order pod. I'll be your host tonight, X-Pac. I'm joined by the one and only Scott Hall, aka Yao, Bruce Basia. Yao,
Hey.
long time no see, mate.
Yeah. It's been a while actually. Well, I did the last one with Tops and Toby, so it has been a while. It's been a while since me and you've just done one.
Yeah, it's been a while since we did a podcast. I was being ironic on purpose because I saw you in real life.
Yeah, but they didn't know that. We
24
got
hours
to do kayfabe. They didn't know. You do now.
But no, that's all good. It's all good. We were on the beers and others were ordering a whole jug full of sus, but it's all good.
That thing looked dodgy.
I saw people pouring it into a different color glass just so it didn't look as bad.
It was tinted glasses.
I didn't judge. I wasn't judging too much.
Oh man.
But no, oh man, let's get into it though. I mean, the transfer window is just officially open. See, teams have been doing business in terms of bringing players in already.
I thought it was from July. Or
yeah, people started tweeting this like the other day. So I don't actually, if I've got to be truthful, I don't know when it officially came out. So it always seems to me that it would be like the first of a certain month.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it seems to just happen on a random day. It might have even been Monday. For whatever day that would have been, the 11th or the 12th. But it seems to have opened officially this week. Of course, you can do pre-agreements in advance, but just a whole lot of departure announcements for Spurs so far, which is what one or a couple would argue is progress. But yeah, nothing in the terms of income is just yet. Just trying to think. It became news today from a strong source that it looks like Davinson Sanchez is looking to leave the club now. I would assume that you didn't see any stocks in him under Big Ange.
No, I didn't see any stocks in him under the postman himself. But the problem is, I'm scared at the fact that Sanchez has already caught the hint now. Like, how did he not catch the hint 2, maybe even 3 seasons ago that he was surplus to requirement? Like, no, there's a lot of offense of what I'm going to say. But when we first bought Sanchez, he came in, young prospect, 40 to 42 million, had a decent to very good season with Ajax. You know, he came into a team that was very well settled. And he, for nearly half a season, due to issues between Toby and Poch, played pretty well, you know, under the guidance of Jan Vertonghen. And then somehow he managed to fall, after that season, he managed to fall down the pack to behind Dyer. And then in the most recent seasons, you know, Tanganga's got games ahead of him in some matches, like subbed on. I've seen games where Rodon has been subbed on ahead of him. That, like, surely, how did you not get the hint anytime sooner? That's what's more frightening for me. And you know, from the reports that I'm seeing, he wants to go to a new league, you know, and challenge himself. Like, big man, who wants to take you? You're on mute.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, he may have not left earlier due to a lack of interest. And I was thinking that as you were speaking, and then you were like, "Oh, like who's going to take you?" Like that might be the main reason as to why he just hasn't left yet. I mean, he hasn't, to my memory, post Poch being a first team selected like defender. He's not been a first choice out of a 2 centre back. to my
Actually,
knowledge. Like we would even prefer to
he,
play a washed Toby Alderweireld.
yes, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say in Jose's time,
Yeah.
he did get a lot more games, but that's because by the end of Toby's tenure, his legs were gone. And Jan Vertonghen's legs had gone for the Premier League was just too intense for their, you know, older legs. Um, but yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe nobody was interested in him, or we as a club priced him out of a move. Because we clearly valued him higher than what he really was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only really been recently we've been looking to take cut price deals for players. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all either. But he's added to the list of players which are leaving now. Obviously, Lloris has officially or officially or unofficially said that he wants a new challenge. They've said goodbye to Dan Juma, Longley, and Lucas Moura. Um, one of whom which may even end up coming back, but that's a different discussion within itself. And I think that's it so far. No, but
Apart from Mundell,
Romain Mondale, yeah,
yeah,
didn't see a
um,
pathway for him to the first team. Hope he does well.
yeah. I hope he
Maliki
does well.
Fagan Walcott as well, who even made a Champions League appearance for us.
Oh, is he gone as well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah, no, I do hope these kids, um, have a pathway. I remember in the group we were talking about Dylan Markaday. Um, I didn't realize he had gone to Aberdeen on loan, and I hope that he does actually, get a decent run in Blackburn, and get his feet back up because you don't want to see none of these kids, these prospects, fall down the ranks too low. I mean, football, you can still have a
Mm.
great career up until you can still have a great career even in the past conference. But for kids that have been in the academy system, you would like them to at least get a good championship run or even League One if it's that. That League One, there's no shame in being at that level whatsoever. But in terms of the pathway to the first team, yeah, even if we were more set as a club, I don't know if these kids would have broken in. I'm trying to look at all the other teams where the path from the academy to the first team is easier, and even in a very set team like City, Foden, through the academy, and Rico Lewis is the only two
Mm.
that come to mind in recent
I'm free
times.
to do.
I think there's another one. I think it's the
Oh,
striker.
you got Cole Palmer.
That's it. Cole Palmer. So that's free, and I think that's a pretty good return. And to be honest with you, this is going to sound a bit harsh, but I think our youngsters have only really truly come good now, like this particular season, which so happens to be our worst season in recent times, where they've done the Premier League Cup double in I think different age groups as well. So
Mm.
these kids, they've got some stocks to build on. But I know today we've almost finished formalizing Mickey, who's another prospect. So
Mm.
maybe we're trying to fix that pathway um, in a better way because even in world football, the only two teams I can think of that are fantastic at this is Bayern Munich and Barcelona, and then the third one I'd say is probably I want to say Madrid. Yeah, I'd say Madrid because Madrid have had a great history of like bringing somebody through the ranks of their youth product all the way to the first team, and they go on to become stars. So yeah, those three teams are probably the best at it. I wouldn't say there's many English teams that have been fantastic at it outside of um, Man United in the 90s and possibly arguably
Could say
Arsenal.
Chelsea. I was about to say Arsenal have really come on strong as well in the last couple
Yeah,
of years.
in the last few years, I think Arsenal have got like well, Saka predominantly, of course, I know the rest of the team is, players that they've bought, but there was a season or two where they had Saka, Martinelli, and I can't remember the rest, but they had like a decent Maitland Niles, who they've let go, but they had a decent amount of their younger lot come through and become mainstays. Chelsea, you could argue Chelsea, but I think that was earlier day Chelsea. Not, I know now they've got quite a lot of their younger team come through, but I don't think that the majority of them are good prospects. If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I hear it. And even though you could even say that Spurs have actually done an okay job
Yeah,
at
we've done
least
okay.
bringing academy players into the first team. We still got, well, in the first team they're not necessarily getting a huge amount of minutes, but in the first team you got like Tanganga, Skip, obviously Kane, Winks was out on loan. Who am I missing? I feel like there's at least one more.
Winks, through the ranks, Skip.
Cole Walker Peters is still playing
Cole,
Prem. Well,
yeah,
was
Carl
playing
Walker
Prem
Peters.
until this year.
Yeah, we've had quite a few come through. I think the problem is the talent pool. The ability. Um, they haven't been very good mainstays. I mean, Peters, it's a bit unfortunate. Had he gone to a better team, he wouldn't be in the championship. But
Yeah,
it is what
still
it is.
can, still can.
Yes, okay.
No, it's good. Like I even heard with the Mickey Moore thing that apparently Spurs are looking to kind of overhaul. I have no idea if this is actually true or not. I think I need saw like
Came
one
from
of the, I
Fabrizio,
guess
yeah.
one of the club mouthpieces to kind of confirm this, to see like apparently they've overhauled some of
The
how the
structure.
youth team operate. Structure probably being like just the amount that they play youth team players, right? I didn't really have much idea about this. There's obviously a coach on Twitter that shed some light on it. Ali Gold shed some light on it, and we have apparently been one of the kind of lowest paid academy.
We
We
are.
have the lowest paid academy teams, but we seem to always still kind of have talent. Like again, like Marcus Edwards went out in Madueke, is back in the Prem. These are other players who have kind of come through. We've currently got Divine, Jamie Donnelly, Muggy Moore, and Alfie Dorrington's just signed a new contract.
Yeah.
He looks like he could be at least a decent to good level player. So
Yeah, I mean, he's still quite young, centre back that likes to drive out. I'm interested to see how his career develops, because if he works out and he comes in, that's money saved on a centre back years down the line, and it's homegrown talent. But we'll have to wait and see how he develops. It's all good and well talking about these youngsters at this level amongst their peers, but the men's game is the men's game. It's a tough step up, for any professional. It doesn't matter, even if they're more established now. Any professional that's gone through the ranks, that change from even under 21s, that change from that to the big boys, the intensity is insane. So you got to take it from there.
exactly, and I was just kind of double checking how old he is now. He's 18, so
Yeah, he's young.
could
He's young.
maybe at a stretch get a championship loan in a progressive team. Probably
Yeah,
more than likely going to be somewhere like League One. But
send him to Celtic.
oh mate, might be able to get one of their coaches to get put over after that. Yeah, essentially, I'll just keep on getting tempted to joke around to say he probably raised the floor of the first team even now. But I haven't watched enough youth team
Nah,
football over the course of
he,
the
he-
year,
the,
if
the
I'm
kid the
honest.
kid's good, but he's not. He's not. You're not picking him over Dyer. Not now. It's like I said. It's a men's game. Like, you're not gonna just throw an 18-year-old centre back. How many 18-year-old centre backs do you know slot into any first team and get regular minutes? It just doesn't happen. You got to just break him in slowly. Pause.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Very sensible thinking from you.
Yeah, you know, I'll try.
Um, yeah, I just need to myself. Like, I've got to admit, like, I signed up to Spurs TV with the intention of watching a bit more youth team football this year, and it just hasn't happened. But
This would have been
I'll
the
for
year to
sure
do it.
be on it
Bro.
this week. I think it might just be me. I've just been subconsciously switched off to it because I just know there's not been that good. Well, if anything, no pathway to the first team.
Yeah,
And you think, and okay, that could swing a change under Postecoglou, purely because now they're going to be more aligned in how they play. I mean, whenever I have seen the youth teams play, they have been pretty progressive. I mean, they've kind of adopted, well, they look to have adopted Conte's shape. Um, Certainly when I was watching games at the start of last season,
yeah,
but they probably had a more kind of progressive tweak to it. Um, but yeah, just having Postecoglou there, and then hopefully Simon Davis, the head of methodology, can kind of get cracking with the under 23s and under 21 managers
yeah,
to be way more aligned. And who knows? I think just by virtue of the fact that we could have a more aligned playing style, should be easier.
yeah.
It's certainly more favourable. Anyway, I was kind of saying at the start of the pod that we haven't actually had any incomings, which isn't entirely true. As Fabrizio was saying, we've sealed Kulusevski. Here we go at any day now, even though Fabrizio's been off the mark a little bit this summer so far, from what
What's he
I've
got wrong
seen
so
anyway.
far?
Let me try and remember. I think it was off the top of my head. I can't even remember. It's embarrassing now. There was some random player that was in it was either the Turkish league or something else. Like it wasn't like a big name, but he tweeted something about the transfer was imminent, and the players just commented underneath like, "No, that's all lies," and never even moved. So it's weird. And then there was another deleted tweet of a move that he said was imminent, and it didn't happen. Again, it was a move which is, I guess, considered to be a small boy one, but I'm
Yeah,
just looking at him a little bit sideways. Like I don't even have an agenda against Fabrizio, like I can see some people do on Twitter. Like they are praying for his downfall.
yeah, that's a
It's
wild.
it's actually quite funny to watch. Um, don't take it. I'm not taking it too seriously, but he's yeah. Hopefully not off the mark with this one. He's saying we got Kulusevski for €5 million, less than what we had the option to pay
Yeah,
for him initially, which is a bit shameless from us because I reckon. I mean, my theory is we've knocked off the 5 million because of his injury problems, where we've probably been, I guess, a major part in his injury problems. But are you happy with him coming in permanently,
yeah,
even
yeah.
after off the back of a poor season? It has to be said.
I think this poor season was mainly due to a number of factors. One, injury. Two, the manager, and three, the play style. Um, like I said, I've been very harsh on Conte because I think as a manager, your main role. I know when Conte was sacked, I think we were still fourth, so he can fall back on that and be like, look, as many people insult him, we were still fourth. But the truth be told, the environment that he created was hell, absolutely
Mm,
toxic. Um, and I don't know if we would have finished that season higher. We probably would have. I don't think we would have finished fourth, but we probably would have got like six or something like that. I think Kudu's injuries, the timeout of the team when he came back into the team and how the team was playing, then the World Cup and how we came back off the World Cup. I think there was too many factors that just went against him. Um, and I think with a good preseason and you know uh, a new, more progressive style of football, we should get the best out of him. We need to see the Kulu that we saw when he first arrived, and more consistently. Otherwise, it will just look like a bust. But to get him for 30 million euros, which works out to like sign like 28 million pounds,
It's
just
a snip.
is a snip when you, and especially at his age, it's actually, and in this current market, it's actually great business. 35 million euros wouldn't have been even that crazy, to be honest with you. It would have worked out like 30 million pounds. But we've got him for cheaper. And now the club has £5 more million that they can give to Daniel Levy to put in his pocket.
Exactly. And we're going to need whatever we can grab, to be honest. If certain rumors are true about what bids we've been apparently putting about. But just before we get onto those rumors, what do you think Spurs actually need to say? I was listening to yours and Tobes's podcast last week about Postecoglou, and obviously we know how he likes to play now. He likes to play now, but it's pretty obvious to anyone with the same mind. Like, we really haven't got the team to necessarily suit his ways. So how many players do we actually need ideally, and for which position?
We need probably need about 4 players in this transfer window, to get started, to get rolling. But 3 of those are going to be in the back line. So just like I said last week, it hasn't changed. We need to show that we mean business. We need to, if Dave Herrera is the goalkeeper that we're going for, then we need to get that over the line, and that should kickstart the transfer market kind of business. We need to be deadly serious in getting 2 centre backs. I don't want to hear, oh, we got 2 centre backs and one of them is Lenglet. I'm not hearing that. I'm not interested. I'm not even entertaining that. It has to be 2 centre backs that are in the position, or can be considered to be in a position of starters, and Lenley as a backup option. Like, I'm not having, and I'll be honest with you, I believe it will be more the case that we'll get 1 centre back. It will be Romero, the new centre back, and Lenley as the backup option. I'm not having none of that. I won't support none of that in any way, shape, or form. It has to be, without a shadow of a doubt, 2 starting centre backs. Whether the second one is really great or not is subjective to performances, but it has to be 2 centre backs, and it have to be centre backs that have a little bit, not too much, but a little bit of pace. Because Postecoglou is going to be playing a high line. What we do in a high line, going for players like Maguire and Lenley. You play a high line, and what we're doing, we're trying to give these guys heart attacks. Come on, stop this. Yeah. So yeah, those are the first 3. Once you get those 3 personnels or players bought, knock yourself out. Then you can go for your left winger, or you can go for your centre midfielder, or your advanced 8, or your number 10. You can go for all of those roles. I couldn't care less. But those first 3 roles are the most important roles.
Yeah, I just saw that coming from
Yeah.
as well.
I mean,
I don't think Højbjerg is going to Bayern.
no.
Any means.
I think Højbjerg going to Bayern is a great move for Bayern. I think he has.
Yeah.
I think he has all the tools to just slot, like he's been there before. He knows the culture. He can speak a bit of German. Listen,
Bavarian through and through, mate.
I would be devastated, to see Højbjerg leave. But I don't think he can say no to this move. It's a great move. I think he should take it, no matter what the price is. I think he should go.
Boy, we've only got some Senegalese sauce to take his place if he does go.
Yeah.
That's a pause. But that would be devastating. Would be devastating. Do you know what I've not appreciated with the whole rumors and us signing a centre back part? Like, obviously the names have been underwhelming to say the least. Despite me just putting in little jokey jabs in the group chat, saying, "Okay, yeah, Maguire would be okay in the mid block." I just got the right reaction off that one. I'll get on to Tosin in a minute, but all the links and the rumors just keep on having, like, they seem to just future the same word each and every time. It's, oh, Spurs will look for an opportunity for a centre back in the market, or they'll be opportunistic with certain targets. It's just like, no, this is a priority position.
And we're looking
And
for an opportunity.
I don't even necessarily want to hear like names, but I just want to hear suggestions that we've got like good targets in mind and we'll look to move for them in due course. But yet we keep on getting linked to attackers, and sounds like we're prioritizing attackers over defenders again. And it's just like, okay, like, prioritize this area of the pitch. Don't leak words like opportunity and opportunism, because that's essentially what we've heard like the last 2-3 years, and we know what happened with Skriniar. I know you know what happened with Skriniar. You've had your fair share of a say on that one alone, and it's valid. Like, we ended up ironically prioritizing paying Bale's wages over stumping up the extra funds for Skriniar, it seems.
Imagine.
So yeah, I didn't even want Bale, so there's that. Yeah, it's scary, and I would just hope that we've at some point learned our lesson with that. Like, it's so glaringly obvious, not because of how bad our defense is, but we've just said goodbye to 2 centre backs as it is, and Eric Dyer doesn't sound like he's getting a new contract anytime soon. So
He doesn't deserve one. He still hasn't found a culprit that beat up his brother. So until he solves that crime,
that's fair enough.
he doesn't deserve a new contract. I know we've been linked to Tosin from Fulham.
Yeah.
And Mark Gehi from Crystal Palace. I've watched the England game. In fact, I've still got it on in the background. I went to +1 to see some more of it. And Ibn
you. I'm watching Celebrity Gogglebox for some reason.
Oh, that's shocking.
Shocking.
Ibn from Roma, and I'll be brutally honest with you. None of these names, not a single one of them.
Not Ibanez.
None of them.
Playing, but...
none of them moved the needle for me. I've seen people talk about Gehi, and I'm like, yeah, no. It's just a no. Our centre backs, we need. Okay, out of the centre backs we got in the club right now, none of them, not a single one of them, are leaders. Not one.
Yeah. Seeing what a 60% son did to Mark Gehi as well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, like none of them are leaders. So the one of the 2 centre backs that we need has to be a leader or can lead a back line. That's why I'm like, I don't understand how none of the rumors, like how we haven't been heavily linked with Laporte. I'm like, he's there. Nobody's gone for him. Like, and this is the thing that I hate about Spurs. This is actually what I hate about Spurs the most. Take away, Laporte. Let's say our budget is like, I don't know. Let's say our budget is like 80 million. We are looking to spend 70 million of that, on potentially 2 players from Leicester City. While also trying to shift wings. Yeah. So let's say I'm not even taking into consideration, sales and getting money back from players. So that would leave us with 10 million to get 2 centre backs. Yeah. I haven't even included David Raya in here. Like, I'm taking that as, he's done. The rest of the budget is now 80 million. So I don't know what this club is doing, because unless you get one of the 3 defenders, and Ndika's already gone Roma, so that's ruled him out. Unless you get one of the defenders that contracts have come to an end, who's decent or relatively good, you'd have to pay good money for a good defender. Why are we messing around trying to find, you know, and the profiles we've been linked to are disgusting. Like we're looking at players that nobody looks at them and thinks, raw, yeah, they're good one-on-one defenders, or ah, they got a bit of pace about them. Their recovery pace is fantastic. They can cover the back line. They organize. None of these characteristics have been taken into consideration with the players we've been linked to. Maguire's best trait is sitting back in a low block and headering out and stepping out when he's got the ball to feet, when like the teams that they're facing are not pressing him. Like Romero's not a leader, he's rash. So we can't go and get another rash defender and put him beside him. That's ridiculous. Yeah. I know Pau Torres is one of the guys that we've been linked with, Ibanez. Tabsoba from Leverkusen, that's one I'll take. That's one of the two I'll take. I wouldn't take. I don't like the idea of Ibanez and Romero. I don't like it one bit because that just sounds like red cards and yellow cards every 2 weeks. Like, I don't like it one bit. People need to realize if we're going on what the information is about this new manager, we are going to have in the attacking phase, we're going to have two centre backs. It basically is going to look like what Liverpool do with Van Dijk and Konate, who are two PMP type defenders. So how are we going to do this with Eric Dyer, Joe Rodon, Langley, Maguire, Romero? Like, people, let's think for a second. Like, it's not going to work. So, oh well, each to their own, innit? Like, I'll definitely take the taps over you, but I'm not budging on whether we need a leader at the back. We need somebody who's going to be a voice at that back line, so that when we're in the attacking and it's just the two of them, that player is informing his partner, hey, you're stretched a bit too far, need you a bit closer, pause, boom, 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 look over your left shoulder. We need that kind of player. We need that player that's verbal. We don't need a player that's just going to be pointing like, hey, beer, send him to Bayern Munich. Yeah, we need somebody who's going to organize, because that's what's going to keep us in possession. Organization.
And calmly organized as well.
Yes.
Do you know what? I think Laporte may even be that guy, even though he's not like a big personality. Apparently.
Yeah, he is that guy, but he's not, and he's not crazy fast.
But I think
he's faster than Torres and Ibanez.
I think Pep looks at that fixture list, which has come out. He's seen Spurs away on that title run,
and he's keeping him.
But he might have to keep him just based on that one game, because his only target for next season is probably just to score at our stadium. Like, it would be ironic if Laporte was part of a good defence, which kept a clean sheet against him again. And plus, he's been stung. He almost got badly stung by selling two of his former players to Arsenal, thinking that they won't be a big threat to us anyway. They'll just gazump the other lot and help us beat Liverpool. And no, they almost beat you to the title. So I don't know. Maybe he doesn't sell to another. Well, he's asked the club not to sell to another rival in the league, because he does have that power at the club as well. So
imagine.
Yeah. Who knows? I'm trying to think of other left-footed defenders off the top of my head. Like,
there's not many.
No, like, I made a case for Pau Torres and like a mid to low block, but in a high line, that's scary.
Yeah.
That's very, very scary. I just don't know how his style of defending translates to the Premier League, or I've got a good feeling how it translates. It doesn't look good. Schlotterbeck would not leave Dortmund for Spurs, because he's probably smarter than that. Dortmund are clear. Lacaba, is he left-footed? I don't know. It's so annoying Chelsea got Badiashile, because he would have been.
I like Badiashile.
He looks really good.
He's one of those young defenders that has a good upside. Lacaba, I haven't seen enough of Lacaba, if I'm being brutally honest. But again, I don't mind if the profile, if I done my research a bit more, and the profile suited the style of play that Postecoglou wants to do, then these players are. I'm all for it. I really don't care about the name. The name doesn't. We're in the tenure of football now where the big superstars are all coming towards an end, and the new superstars are now developing. So the name's not going to matter. It's more about is the player capable of playing the role within the style of play that the manager wants to play. And Pau Torres, Ibanez, I don't think are good at that style of play. I just don't. I've watched a lot of Roma games, obviously, because Jose, my old brethren, but Ibanez can't
I
be
didn't know
doing.
you stand him that much. That's
No, bro,
fair
I
play, though.
look, listen. I will never forgive the club. Never. That's why no matter what we do moving forward, yeah, whether we bounce back, get into the Champions League, even I know this is crazy hypothetical. Even if we won the league under Enoch and um uh Daniel Levy, I will still want Daniel Levy gone. I would that what he did was unforgivable. You sacked a manager 6 days before final. I never want to see this guy once he's left Spurs. I never want to see him in football again, ever, ever. Like it's a mess, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, we will see. Papa Bankson's asking, are you worried about the schedule being a bit too much for a new coach? Glad we're not in Europe for this one season. I don't
No,
know. I mean, in Scotland, they have 3 domestic trophies as well,
yeah,
including the league. So I think it'll be very similar,
no,
to
I'm
be
not actually
honest.
worried. Yeah, I'm not worried about the schedule at all. They have in Scotland they have the league, and then they have 2 cup competitions, just like England. And then what do you call it? Celtic were also in the Champions League. I think they finished bottom of their group, so they didn't go into the Europa League. Um, so in terms of like managing the team, yeah, he's already gone through that. That's nothing to worry about. And to be honest with you, the first 2 rounds, maybe even 3 rounds of the FA Cup, you could get away with rotating a few players. The
Mm,
the Carabao is where you might put out a slightly stronger team depending on if you get a Premier League team early. Like there was one season where we got Chelsea the first round, um, and we beat them on penalties. So yeah, um, you might put out a slightly stronger team, but it's very manageable.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
It's a
Yeah, that
good
was
thing
the
that we're not
game.
in Europe. If we were in Europe, we would be finished. No, it would have been a bad.
That was the game Eric Dyer had to run to the toilet when we beat
Yeah,
Chelsea in the Carabao.
because somebody told him that his brother's attacker was in there. That's why he ran, but obviously clearly couldn't find him, so he ran back out. Foolish boy.
Exactly. So it's interesting when you were mentioning players and positions which we need. You didn't mention a fullback. I don't see this as a high priority either, but I think Big Angie's. I don't know how long I'm calling Big Ange for, but Angie's. I think he's going to have to make an adaptation to his inverted fullbacks. I don't think we're going to see both of them invert, but I think we've actually got decent fullbacks to for one of them to tuck in, and then one of them is almost be lopsided, and then we have a kind of 3 at the back build instead of a 2-3-5. You can just build with a 3-2-5, and it should be all good.
It'd
Like
be a
you could have
free.
Ben Davis and Porro, or Emerson and Udogi.
Yeah, so no,
I
it'd
prefer
be.
the latter, but
I think if I'm being brutally honest, yeah, I think if it's lopsided, it will be on the Emerson side if he's playing. Uh, and if I'm being brutally honest, I would prefer, especially for more of a defensive aspect, for um, Postecoglou to go with Emerson on the right and Destiny on the left.
yeah,
Uh, and hopefully give Destiny the license to push forward. We got Regulon coming back on. We got Session, Davis, and I'm not going to say Perisic because Perisic shouldn't be playing left back whatsoever. But those are our left-sided options. Personally, I think worst case scenario, you go with Regulon if he's fit, or Davis. Take your pick, really. But on the right side, we've got three options, and they're very different options in Spence, Porro, and Emerson. I think Emerson's earned the right to be the starting right back until further notice. Porro, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think Porro should be more eyeing up the backup as right winger.
Yeah.
I think he can be really good up there. So that therefore we don't have to purchase another right winger. He can be rotated between him and Kulu, or there could be games where the two of them both play. But either way, I think that gives us a bit more. There's a bit more balance in the fullback positions. I think we've done a lot of business in the last 2 seasons. We've got quite probably about 6 players that can play that role. So that's that's quite important, to be fair. That's a lot of bodies in one position. So
yeah,
you got
but we need to see at least like 3 departures from fullbacks positions, albeit if it's on loan or permanent, at least. Fucking hell, man! Our squad is a mess.
Yes,
Regulon doesn't even feel like a Spurs player anymore. I think Perisic definitely leaves. Sessegnon, I can't imagine him attracting much interest with his injury record. I think Spence can get a loan move quite easily.
I think Sessegnon has to go. Like if there's players that need to definitely go, like 1,000,000% go, Sessegnon has to be on the chopping block. I don't even think it's up for discussion, and I don't think we should be trying to salvage as much money as possible. Anybody that comes in with a small 10 million, send him to Everton, bro. Everton have just gone down. Send him there.
My God, he's gonna just chop it out with Delhi then?
Yeah, might as well. Delhi's going back to Delhi's going back to Everton anyway, and Daesh is
gonna weigh him in.
Not Everton. Not Everton. Sorry, I meant Leicester City. Send him down there.
If Daesh is anything like he was to Delhi, like he was to Troy Deeney, from what the story he was telling, boy, it's going to be a fun pre-season.
It's going to be scary hours because we only need Delhi to play 10 games, and we get £10 million.
There you go.
Very important business.
10 million. Hey, we could actually do quite a lot with 10 million. We could probably put that up front for a player and then add-ons for the rest if we're going for Maddison and Barnes again. But that's another matter entirely. We seem to be making some of these offers for players without a director of football. And our manager hasn't officially started work yet. Nor apparently has Scott Munn started his role yet as
officially they both
football operator, football operations, or head of football operations.
Yeah.
My question to you, Yao, where there's been talk now, we may not even go for a director of football. Do you think we need one?
I do think we need one. I don't know if we're not going to go for a director of football this season. We can get away with that. Because obviously Munn and Ange have both worked together in the past, so we can actually get away with that. And Ange does have a good idea of players that he likes, and it does seem so far from what I've heard and listened to that the club will be listening to what the manager actually suggests in terms of players and player profile that they're looking for. So as it stands right now, no, we don't need a director of football. But going into the next season, depending on where we finish in the league and what we do in cup competitions, we're definitely going to need a director of football. We're going to need somebody who's specifically focused on just the transfer aspects of the club. You can't be having Scott Munn as the head of football operations, because that's a big role. Like that's not just
Mm.
dealing with the transfers. That's dealing with the operations of football from literally the kids all the way up to the senior team. That's a lot of like man hours. So we will definitely need a director of football that can just focus on the ins and outs, transfer wise, um, of the club.
Cool. Well, I even as early as like a week or two ago, even just before Postecoglou, I was adamant we absolutely did need one. But um, the more I deep it, I'm just a little bit like I'd still think like it's more faithful that we do need one in my opinion. But yeah, the more I deep it, it kind of feels like we may not need one only because like Scott Munn doesn't seem to be that well qualified in actual football operations, but with himself and Ange being as part of the City group, I think Ange has this track record of just pulling people in his direction.
Yeah,
Obviously, just not even taking coaching stuff with him. He'll just use the coaching stuff he's with, pull them in his direction. I don't think it would be that much different with him and Scott Munn. Obviously, being both countrymen as well. I think he'll be able to pull Scott Munn in his direction as well as Andy Scolding, technical director. I think he is Greta Steinson, who was Paratici's assistant director of football assistant, you could even say. And then you've got Gabonini, who's still there as a head scout. So as long as they're all pulling in the same direction and singing off the same hymn sheet, then it's a lot to happen. But if it does happen, then I don't necessarily think we need one. But it remains to be seen. My biggest concern at the moment is how much influence Scott Munn would have over, say, a Daniel Levy or Ange even, and his influence over Daniel Levy. So, like with Paratici, seeming like he did have that strong influence on him, for better or for worse. Yeah, there's one or two manager appointments. It was for the worst, but at the same time, yeah, it would be good just to have Levy actually listen to someone, know what they're talking about when it comes to football. For me, it's just a wait and see how they perform, even if it's just over this summer. Papa Blanks is saying the links have died down with the director of football. We're pretty much relying on CAA. I forgot what that stands for, and Ange's Asian knowledge. Well, looks like we're getting a left-footed defender from the J League.
listen, I'm not against it.
Nor
Yeah,
am I. I'm just
um,
kind of if Ange is doing it, then you kind of live and die by that sword of your decisions. Like if you're going to
yeah.
make that kind of decision, then you've got to be ready to fall on that sword. Pause. Pause.
Good pause.
That was. That was. I don't even like doing the pause, but yeah, that's quite bad. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, no, I'm not against it whatsoever. Like there's some. I think when it comes to Asian football and Asian players in general, one thing I will 100% like. I will take this to the grave. I'll argue with anyone. One nation in particular that I could not name you a bad player. And what I mean by a bad player, I'm talking about just their technical aspect of the game is Japan.
Yeah.
So like I think you've heard me say this before.
So true.
Like there's not a Japanese player that I can look at and be like, technically they're ass. Like so if you're linked to a player from the Asian market, I look at it and I'm like, this is a good piece to add to your squad. And if you go through the entirety of Europe, and you look at the two players, I think it's two of them at Celtic. You got Kim at Napoli, Son even with us, Park Ji Sung back in the day with United, uh, Kamada, um, um, that played at Dortmund, I believe, if I remember off the top of my head. and then there's another player currently, I think, at Leverkusen. Like, these are all technically sound, quality.
Always.
At least, very least 7 out of 10 players for the majority. And you can't argue with the turnover that they give you.
No, I agree, and they lit up the World Cup as well. Like you saw how Spain and Germany both struggled against them both times, even though they refused to start their best players. It just goes to show, like even when they don't play their best players, the ones that they do put out to kind of get a foothold in the game are technically proficient enough to to stand with the likes of a Germany and a Spain, who are also right up there
Yeah,
with the with being just technically very sound. And like Spurs are screaming out for this as well. Like we
we
just
really
are.
are. No, we are in dire straits, puns intended, of course.
Of
Um,
course, that was good.
Thank you. We might even have to name the pod dire straits.
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking if
Um,
we had done it before, but yeah.
yeah. So no, I think what is annoyingly bad about this situation right now is it's just who we could have got. We could have got Kim. Kim's now going um buying, and I remember we spoke extensively in this on the podcast about Kim because we linked him for time. I was like, if you're gonna go get him, just go get him. Like, I didn't understand it. It was like 15 million euros, and we were haggling and haggling. We just didn't go get him. And
Yeah, we got
now,
Joe Rodon instead. I
ah,
can see why they did it, but
for 12
hindsight is
million. Yeah,
if
we got Joe Roden for the homegrown core. I
he was
understand.
playing for like Beijing something or something at the time
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. Like
He wasn't playing for a well-renowned club, but let's be brutally honest. Joe Roden was playing for Swansea. Yeah, like, we have to call a spade a spade. That Beijing team probably would have slapped Swansea up
I
for a
don't
good
know,
six.
man.
No, no, no,
I
no.
don't know.
Them technically sound South Koreans against Joe Roden. Come on, have some respect.
Beijing's in
Joe Roden,
China.
Joe
I don't
Roden would
know,
have
the
been.
Chinese league. I mean, when have you last heard about a Chinese league? Like they haven't even got big money
Then it's not.
players
It's
anymore.
not a good infrastructure league. Yeah, but I think people get hung up too much on the league and less on the quality of the player. Like, so for instance, you go through, I don't know, the majority of Europe's top 5 leagues.
Mm.
Everyone that doesn't want to be controversial will be like, the Premier League is the best league of the world, the greatest league of all time. It gives you the best. The Premier League is the most competitive league in world football. Well, you could argue the South American League in terms of their competitiveness, but in terms of the competition amongst the 20 teams, the Premier League is the most competitive in world football.
The
However,
championship's super competitive though.
yeah, but the level in terms of the quality level is different, is far vaster in the Premier League than it is in the Championship. Like, and this
Mm.
is the problem that I keep having this argument with people. I'm like, um, you have the Premier League as the most competitive league, but it's not the best league technically. Like,
No.
once you go out of, say, the top 4, maybe even you could stretch it to 5, sometimes even 6. Sometimes the quality drops off massively, and it just becomes passion that gets a lot of these teams. The quality drops off a big amount. Whereas the reason why, French league, outside of PSG, of course, the reason why the French league is quite competitive when you take away PSG is because the technical level is quite varied across the whole league. So you can get a Camavinga at a Rennes, and you'd be like, "Bro, this is quality, man. He's Real Madrid quality," and he'll go Real Madrid, no problems, no second thought. You can have an Mbappe before he went PSG at Monaco, and he can go PSG obviously later, no problems, no fault. But what you will find in England is Mbappe and Camavinga will all be at Manchester City. It's too lopsided. and that's the problem with our league. So when you look outside of our league for talent, people are like, "Oh, you got a gem, you got a gem." No, it's not really a gem. You just didn't, you just didn't broaden your search. That's all it was. Camavinga was there in France, sitting, waiting for a club to come after him. I know United went after him a few times. Don't know how they didn't get that over the line because he was dirt cheap. And they got Real Madrid obviously did their due diligence and got that over the line. Gravenbach from Ajax, he's not even having a good time at Bayern Munich, but he was just sitting there, got yapped. Frankie de Jong said himself he would have come Spurs the season that Ajax had that great Champions League run, but he wanted to spend one extra year in Ajax. Why didn't Spurs just do that and leave him there on loan, and he would have been our Ericsson replacement? It's like
Frankie and Ericsson replacement.
Yeah, I think Frankie de Jong for me was my Ericsson replacement.
Do they not play different roles or positions though?
They play slightly different roles, but Frankie can play from the base all the way to the 10. He's not that great in the 10, by the way, but he can play 3 central roles in midfield. I would have put him more at the base. I would have put him more as a 6/4. That would have been obviously Ericsson did that later in his Tottenham career. His earlier parts was more as an 8 and a 10. But Frankie can do the 8 as well, and he does it very well. That would have been a perfect replacement for me in terms of age and profile. And I think he controls the midfield pretty well. But we didn't do it. We've not done good business for 6 seasons. For me personally.
It's been very rare. Few and far between.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about the Asian market. I don't watch much Asian league football. Why? Because I don't know what channels to watch it on, and it'll probably be crap. And the only reason it'll probably be crap is because the one thing I've noticed about football outside of England is the coverage. Even in Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, the coverage is poor. The presentation of these games is really bad. Like in England, they would hype up Everton against Norwich like it's a very big game for you to watch. Oh, Super Sunday, Everton against Norwich. This is a 6-pointer. It's the first game of the season. But they will do their due diligence to try and get viewers to watch this, and you'd have to watch 10 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes of the game to realize, this game is rubbish. But you've watched it. Whereas, La Liga, they don't even bother if it's not an El Clasico. They don't even bother. They're like, you watch. Now, that's the problem with other leagues. They need to learn how to present their product better for a wider market.
Yeah, man. They've been fumbling their bags for a minute. Bless them. All right, man. I think that'll wrap us up for tonight. Thank you for those that joined in the stream. Had myself and Yao just catch up on all things Spurs. We will keep on trying to stream every Thursday and Friday. Audio comes out tomorrow morning, or as you're listening to it now. Until next week, that's New Spurs Order out. Also, don't forget to interact with us on the Twitter as well. Like, we're pretty active on there. Anything we tweet, feel free to at us, discuss things. It's all good. All right. See you next week, and come on, you Spurs.
Yes.
Bow bow.